It is my honor and privilege to be here among so many amazing Democrats today, truly. Now, I can't top the joke from last night about the ducks, if anybody saw that, but I have a little story of my own. Over 5,000 years ago, Moses said to his people, "Pick up your shovels, mount your asses and camels, and I'll lead you to the promised land." 75 years ago, FDR said, "Lay down your shovels, sit on your asses, and light up your camels. This is the promised land." Now, the Republican Party wants to ship your shovels to Mexico, kick your asses, raise the price of your camel, and they foreclosed on the promised land. Unfortunately for the Republicans, this is a Democratic year. Now, if you don't know my story already, I am Heather Ryan, and I was compelled to run for the U.S. House of Representatives when my 12-year-old daughter and I dared to ask Senator Mitch McConnell a simple question about the war in Iraq, and it made him mad. It made him so mad that he called my board of directors and asked them to have me fired from my job as an executive director. And they did. He was so powerful, and they were so intimidated that I lost my job. But I'm here to tell you that I'm not afraid to stand up to Mitch McConnell and corrupt politicians. And I am not afraid to stand up for what is right in Kentucky and the working people of America. Now let me talk for a moment about the war in Iraq, because I'm not afraid to talk about it like the Republicans, like Senator McConnell, George Bush, and Whitfield. They're all afraid to talk about the war in Iraq. But I was in Washington, D.C. on that dark day in American history when terrorists ran planes into the Twin Towers and a field in Pennsylvania and the Pentagon. I was in Washington, D.C. on that dark day in American history, and that had nothing to do with Iraq. When I am in office, we will go after the people who attacked our country, and we'll kick some ass. But until that day, remember, it's not the terrorists who send our jobs overseas, and it's not the terrorists who deny us health care, and it's not the terrorists who sell us out to special interest groups. Those are the Republicans, and that's my opponent, Ed Whitfield. Now let's talk for a moment about Ed Whitfield. I like to call him Exxon Eddie. Ed Whitfield and I could not differ more as candidates. He doesn't believe that health care for children is a priority. That is why he has consistently voted against the S-CHIP program. I believe that health care for every single American is a priority, and it's a fundamental right. My opponent voted to cut veterans' benefits while giving himself and the richest 1% of Americans a huge tax cut. I'm a veteran. I believe that veterans should be treated with honor, dignity, and respect. They deserve every benefit that they were promised. And in 13 years in Congress, Ed Whitfield's single biggest piece of legislation in 13 years has been a national ban on eating horse meat. I believe that the people of Kentucky are more concerned with making ends meet than horse meat. Now, we simply must end our dependence on foreign oil. My opponent sits on the House Energy Commission, yet he does absolutely nothing about the soaring price of gas. But why would he? Exxon, Halliburton, and the Petroleum Marketers of America have contributed over $24,000 to his re-election campaign, and he owns $500,000 worth of Exxon and Chevron stock. That's just his oil interest. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's not leading the way for America and Kentucky for alternative energy. What's hard to believe is the 7-term, multi-millionaire congressman who doesn't live in the district can even understand, much less represent the working class of America and Kentucky. Our founding fathers intended for average, everyday Americans to go to Washington, D.C., serve a couple of terms representing their district, and then go home. It is time to send Exxon Eddie Whitfield back home to Florida, where he lives. Now, friends, Kentucky's first district has been held hostage by Republicans for far too long. A Democrat in the White House can only truly affect change when they have support in the Senate and the House. That's why we need to elect Bruce Lunsford to the U.S. Senate. And in Congress, we need to elect David Boswell, support John Yarmouth, Dr. Michael Kelly, Ben Chandler, and Heather Ryan. I'm a veteran, a wife, and a mother, and now I'm newly unemployed, and I'm running for Congress. If ever there was a time that a poor person from the south side of Paducah is going to beat a rich millionaire from Florida, it's right now. We need a representative who introduces legislation on behalf of the human beings of the First District, not on behalf of livestock. We need a representative who has integrity, not stock options. And we need a representative who will not sell out to special interest groups like Exxon Eddie Whitfield. It is time we end the culture of complacency that Exxon Eddie has created. It is time to send another Democrat to Congress. I am Heather Ryan. I'm a Democrat for change, and I am a Democrat for Kentucky. Thank you.